When it comes to your dress shoes, do you prefer rubber soles or leather soles? I'm Oliver the Shoe Man, and today I'm going to tell you why I prefer rubber soles on all my dress shoes while resoling a pair of 93602 vintage Florsheim Imperials with some day-night rubber soles. So here we have a pair of 93602s, Florsheim Imperials. These have not been resold before, but they have been put new heels on. These usually come with those suicide heels, the leather ones with all the nails in them. But they got new heels put on. And the customer requested that we do day-night soles on them, which is not a problem. These shoes, I looked on the date code on the inside, and most likely going to be made in the 80s or the 90s. So it's kind of a newer pair, but not a newer pair. I mean, they're made in the 90s at the latest. That's at least a 30-year-old pair of shoes, which they don't make those anymore like they do now, unless you get them custom made, bespoke custom made. But these are always cool to work on. But yeah, customer reached out, said he had his shoes, he wanted some day-night soles put on, and he wants blue stitching on the bottom because he is a first responder, and he wants just it's a cool little detail. Not most people are going to see it unless they're looking at the bottom of your shoes, but I told him that's fine, we'll be able to do that. So we're going to replace everything on the bottom. A phone call came in, but yeah, as I was saying, we're going to replace everything on the bottom, even the welts, because even though these are hardly worn, there's some spots on the welts that the stitching is so close to the edge that I'm not going to be able to re-stitch the new soles on and be able to sand that without hitting the welt. And I mean, for a 30-year-old pair of shoes, they're in good shape, but if you want to get another 30 years out of them, it's best to just redo the whole thing. There's the shank, because you don't want to risk down the line like the 30-year-old leather welt dry rotting, and then you have to send it back in for another repair. And just best to get it all done right the first time versus taking that risk. Yes, it's an extra cost, but again, you take that risk of having to pay for another resole sooner than you should have. So we're gonna be completely restoring these shoes so the customer can get another 30 years out of them. The welt, which is this piece right here, gets stitched to the shoe. That white piece is the gimming. The gimming gets glued to the footbed, and then it has like a vertical part that gets stitched to the welt. The uppers, the lining, everything gets stitched together with the welt, and the soles get stitched to the welt so that everything is secure. Now the welt is stitched on using a chain stitch, which is one thread that kind of loops in on itself. It's a really strong stitch, but if you undo like the first stitch, then you can pull off the welt altogether. And then once we have this welt off, you can go in and pull all the threads out in one shot if it doesn't rip. And just like that, our 30-year-old pair of shoes are taken apart and ready for cleaning and ready for the new welts. So I'm just gonna lightly wipe it down with some spot remover, which is a dry cleaner, I guess, for leather. It's like a watered down acetone, but it'll just help get a lot of the dirt and the crust off of it. The customer decided to kind of leave the patina and not try to re-dye them, to bring them back the uppers a little bit, or as best as possible. So we're just gonna do a general wipe down cleaning, and we'll be ready to sew the new welts on. Alrighty, as you can see, it is snowing, so I thought it'd be a good idea. Take the last out here and re-welt them. Re-welt the shoes we're working on here in the snow. And enjoy the nice cool weather out. Actually not too cold. You'd think it'd be colder, but you think people would stay home. Life's gotta go on. People got work to do. Things gotta get done. But it's very nice out here. I am enjoying the cold weather. And usually I'm not a cold weather person. Usually I gotta stay warm or my hands will freeze up. My body will slow down. It doesn't feel too bad out here. For those of you that are curious, I am in a town called Smyrna, Tennessee. S-M-Y-R-N-A. It's about 20 minutes outside of Nashville. And that's where my shop's located. So if you're nearby and you want to come by and say hi, just check out the shop and come on by. If you're ever visiting Nashville, definitely come check out the shop. I'd love to meet some of you guys out there. But we are sewing on new welts. Like I had explained to you what the welt was earlier. We dyed it a dark brown. I know you guys can't really see. It's so bright out here, everything that I'm working on is darkened. At least for the video. But we dyed them a dark brown. And now we have to stitch the new welts on and follow the old holes that the original welt was stitched on. I'm going to show that to you right now. You see those holes? That's what the original welt was sewed onto, so we got to follow them when we're stitching them. That way we don't create more holes in the upper, which can weaken the upper and actually have the welt start to pull away. All right, let's talk a little bit about leather versus rubber soles for dress shoes. One reason why I prefer rubber over leather soles is what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the application. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is you could use it in all aspects. Like today, if it's snowing, you wouldn't want to wear your leather soled dress shoes. Leather, when it gets wet, softens up and will wear out prematurely. You also can slip and bust your butt trying to walk out in the snow or the rain. Okay, so that's one. You could use rubber soles in almost every aspect, except for when you're dancing. Now, I don't know. I mean, you may dance in your dress shoes, and if you do, then get leather soles. It'll work out for you. But most situations and scenarios, rubber soles are the best option. Then we can talk about durability. Just rubber soles outlast leather. If you get the same thickness leather to the same thickness rubber, rubber will win. Just because it's more durable. Now, yeah, if you get the best high grade quality rubber sole, could last you 4 to 5 years, and that's a good amount of wear for your dress shoes, for your soles. But I mean, you go and stick rubber soles on there, I dare say you get 8 to 10 years out of it. If you got 4 to 5 years out of a leather sole, if you put a rubber sole on there, you get 8 to 10. Now, most people's arguments, from what I understand, is the look. The look of a leather sole is more classic for a leather sole versus the rubber sole. And I get that. You could get a better edge finish, a higher shine with a leather sole than a rubber sole. I understand that. But what I think it comes down to is, before rubber was even a thing, they put leather soles and leather heels on their shoes. And so that's kind of the traditional sole, the traditional look of the shoe. Which, if you want to keep it traditional, do leather soles. I'm not trying to convince you guys to put rubber soles on every single shoe. I'm just telling you why I prefer it. And if you disagree with me, feel free to comment down below why you disagree with me. I'm happy to hear what you guys think, hear your thoughts, why you prefer leather over rubber. But those are some of the reasons. One, better grip. You're not gonna slip if it's snowing out, if it's raining out. Leather, when it gets wet, it softens up and it wears out faster. Rubber, it's not gonna wear out faster if it gets wet. It's gonna give you better traction, a better grip, and it's gonna last longer. Now, if you're dancing or riding horses in your dress shoe, definitely get some leather soles. But again, y'all tell me why you think leather is better than rubber, or if you agree with me, rubber is better than leather. Let me know. I am curious and I want to hear. Actually, it feels really good out here. Actually, a lot more people out here than it was last year. Last year around this time too, we got some snow. It's like everyone freaked out. Oh no, it's snowing, what are we gonna do? Drive safe. Well, slow down. World shouldn't stop. I mean, at least here in Tennessee. Other places where it gets like 2-3 feet of snow, I understand, but they still do stuff. Get the roads cleared and life goes on. Enjoy. Learn to enjoy the things in life rather than focus on the negativities. When you focus on the positives, you'll soon realize that you really have nothing to complain about. I'm sure things get bad. Crap happens. Christ says that we are going to experience trials. It's not going to be a perfect life. But he allows those trials to help us grow in our faith, grow as a human being, into a better human being, better child of God. I mean, the very faith of Christianity is so cultural that if you're truly living a Christian life, they're gonna get some kickback. That just means you're doing the will of God. I forgot what part of the Bible it says it in, but it says rejoice when you experience trials, for you know you're doing the will of God. Anyway, I won't waste any of y'all's time anymore. I'll go ahead and get these stitched on off camera. It'll take me about 30 minutes. Enjoy this weather. And then I will be back when we are ready for the next step. Okay, got new welts sewn on. We got our transition. You can see one's overlapped the other so that when we come in, put the sole, everything on, sand it, you won't be able to tell where the beginning and the end of the welt began. Now, this was the shank and the shank cover. It's not bad, but I'm gonna do a little upgrade. This is a 3-ribbed shank. So much bigger than that. It's the same size as the shank cover. And for the shank cover, I took the sole and I cut it in half and I shaped it out of leather. This will just support the foot a lot more. I didn't come up with this idea. I got this idea from Steve at Vito's Leatherworks. Look him up on YouTube. He does amazing work. But I just wanted to do that because it's a good idea. I've done it to some of my shoes and they feel amazing. And now for the front section, we'll go ahead and put some cork in there. And now we sand it flush. We'll be ready for the midsoles, and then the soles, and then the heels, and then everything's good to go. Now I know I said I prefer rubber soles on all of my shoes, and I do, but I still have some that are leather soles. One pair that I have is a pair of Florsheim's Golden Harvests. And I had those resoled with leather soles because I wanted to keep the originality of the shoe. I wanted to look like it came from the manufacturer way back in like 1970. When they started making them, or when that pair was at least made. So not all of my dress shoes have leather soles or rubber soles, but I do prefer them. Another thing I would argue is that rubber soles are more comfortable than leather soles. Now, leather will start to form to your foot over time. The sole will, it'll make the shoe fit like a glove. So just like you're walking without a shoe on, it'll fit to your foot perfectly, and it'll just be really comfortable. Rubber soles, although they don't form to your foot, they give a little bit. It's a rubber. It's gonna have some slight cushion to it compared to the rubber soles. Now, there's pros and cons to both, obviously, but a way around that way you can get the benefits of both of them, both the leather and the rubber, is by adding a leather midsole, which is what we did with this pair. We added one layer of leather. That way that layer over time will, once he kind of wears it for a little bit, will break into his foot. It'll start kind of molding to his feet. With the rubber outsole, giving that the little bit of cushion as you walk. So you get the best of both worlds. The comfort of the leather sole when it forms to your foot, as well as the durability and the give of a rubber sole versus just a leather sole. The one thing I will say about rubber soles is that they're a little bit more trickier to glue and adhere to the leather. Leather to leather, the fibers of the leather end up getting pressed in and intertwined, so you don't have a high risk or high chance of it coming undone if you glued it properly. Where rubber, you don't have that. That's why we clean the rubber soles with the acetone, so that all the oils and the dirt and the grime, anything that's on there is clean, and we have a clean surface to bond our soles to. And the leather, or the rubber too, also has a tendency to grab onto things, like, because it's got a lot of traction, so if you're walking, it could grab onto the like a carpet or something, which is why I typically like to stitch rubber soles on. Where leather soles, you could get away with just gluing it on. Where rubber soles, better be safe than sorry. Stitch it on. That way, if there's any problems with the glue, doesn't matter, because the stitching is holding it down. The stitching is countersunk into the sole, so you walk on the sole, not the threads. But we're coming along with these, not too shabby. Gonna put the day-night soles on, stitch it all together, shape it, clean it, polish it, put new heels on it. We're good to go with these. Okay, so what you saw us do was change this top thread out to blue and the bottom thread out to brown. But since we're stitching the shoes upside down, this top will be on the bottom, the brown will be on top. So we got everything set properly, and we're going to pray to God that this works out great. Alrighty, look at that. Beautiful stitch on top and on the bottom. Blue threads. They're hard to see when they're in the channel, but that channel is necessary so you don't walk and break the stitches. Okay, we are getting there. Got the soles stitched on, midsole, blue thread. Got our heel base that we are nailing on with, I honestly forgot the name of these. They're like rectangle nails. They're kind of clinching nail, but they taper as they go down. So you put the tapered end down first, and it goes in, it hits this, and it clinches. I don't know, you can't see them in there, but it clinches and it holds on to the footbed. Florsheim's, most dress shoes come with a curved heel base. Florsheim's don't. So they come with they originally came with a straight across, which is why we had a straight across. Whoever put new heels on them did the curve, but we're putting them back to how they originally were, with straight across heel base. And instead of being nailed from the inside like most shoes or heel bases, these get nailed from the outside before the new heels go on top. So we're going to go ahead and do our final trim. These are the sock liners. We'll go ahead and cut new ones, put some padding down there, and get these all finished up. And I will prove to you that if you're a good cobbler, you can get a good finish, edge finish, on a rubber sole with a nice shine. Alrighty, we are done with these beautiful shoes. And check out how they turned out. Just from this look of the uppers, matched with the new soles. These are classic shoes. These will never go out of style. These vintage Florsheim Imperials, built like tanks. They lasted 30 years before we had to resole them, and we didn't even have to resole them. He just wanted rubber soles put on. You can see that beautiful blue stitch as per customer's request. I wish I could just stitch on top of the sole. That way it's better. You could see the stitching better. But then you end up walking on the stitching and you break the threads, which totally destroys the purpose, defeats the purpose of stitching the soles on. See that brand new welt? Beautiful. I love the patina. I'm glad we kept it the same. I didn't and chose not to re-dye them. And look at the finish. I mean, you can see that the leather is a lot shinier than the rubber. You can't get the rubber that shiny, but it's still a beautiful finish. Now, if you just want a really nice shiny edge, then obviously go with all leather. Again, I am not trying to convince you to put rubber soles on all your shoes. I am not trying to convince you to go buy all rubber soled shoes. All I'm saying is, in my personal opinion, based off of the pros and cons, in my mind, rubber soles are far superior than leather soles. If you disagree with me, comment it down below. Let me know what you think. If you agree, let me know why. I would like to hear your guys' thoughts. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, put them down below or contact me with all my information down below. Till next time, God bless y'all.